They filled the field at Monarch High School, students in support of transgender athletes and in protest of the reassignment of their school principal staging a class walkout. Hundreds gathering, holding signs, and chanting phrases like "Trans Lives Matter" and "Bring Back Cecil."
We all have to work on...
Monarch's principal, James Cecil, reassigned because of a transgender girl athlete who was biologically born a boy, transitioned to a female, and then played on the girls' volleyball team, and that would be a violation of state law.
Listen, our first priority are students.
Broward School Superintendent Peter Licata on the principal's reassignment, along with 3 other top staffers.
That's not an indication of discipline. It's an indication that we want to make sure that when we investigate it, it's done properly and appropriately.
Students' opinions today mainly focused on their reassigned principal.
I feel like he didn't really have a part or say in this, and he's a really kind-hearted man, so free Mr. Cecil, guys.
I hope he gets to maybe a better situation. Hopefully this doesn't end badly for him.
Licata involving Tallahassee and the State Department of Education in on this matter.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a story that we talked about before, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, involving a high school out in Florida that effed around and found out after a principal decided to knowingly allow a transgender athlete to play on the girls' volleyball team. Now, when I did that story at the time, I was covering the high school student walkout because they were upset that the principal got removed along with the coach and some other characters that were involved in this scandal. They were upset that the principal was getting punished, right? Getting punished for violating state law by, again, knowingly allowing a transgender girl to play on the girls' volleyball team. Because in Florida, they do not allow biological males to play against biological females in sports for safety reasons. And this principal was removed from school, okay, and others were punished over this incident, and the students walked out in protest of that and the fact that the trans athlete couldn't play on the girls' volleyball team. So now this school has received more punishment from the state for violating the law, and I want to talk about that. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video, eSaver Watt. Energy bills are rising at a historic rate, and there's no end in sight. Talk to everyone, and you'll soon realize that everyone is shocked at their electricity bill. This is why tens of thousands choose this amazing little device. It is a small but sophisticated gadget that stabilizes electrical current, reduces electricity, and helps protect your appliances and electronics. Simply plug it into your home's wall outlet to dramatically lower energy consumption and ultimately help reduce your power bills month after month. Simply place your order now to get 66% off along with other free bonuses before they sell out by going to esaverwatt.com. That is esaverwatt.com. That is esaverwatt.com. Order now.
This is just like a single player and like not really much like a big deal.
She should have been on the boys' team. They could still be a girl, but be on the boys' team, not the girls.
Thank you. It was a law.
Yeah, I don't
It was a law.
A nearly year-old law that the Florida High School Athletic Association says Monarch High School violated when it allowed a transgender female student to play on the volleyball team. The punishment made public Tuesday. The school is formally reprimanded. The school's athletic programs under administrative probation for a year. The school must pay $16,500 in penalties. The staff must attend a compliance seminar, and the school must host a compliance workshop.
She could do whatever she wants with herself, but it shouldn't interfere with what everyone else is doing.
The probation sanction does put other athletic teams under scrutiny. The teams and athletes will play as they normally do, district officials say, but another violation could mean a harsher penalty. Thanks to Governor Ron DeSantis, Florida passed legislation to protect girls' sports, and we will not tolerate any school that violates this law, Education Commissioner Manny Diaz tweeted. We applaud the swift action taken by the FHSAA to ensure there are serious consequences for this illegal behavior.
I think a child should be able to play a sport, regardless of their gender. But, I know a lot of parents are upset about it, and I just don't get it.
The principal and the staff of the school is nothing but caring for the kids. So, I think if they knew about it and they were okay with it, then it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
But it was. The county reassigned the principal and 4 others after the student's involvement came to light. That student also now declared ineligible to play any sport for a year. Florida's transgender sports ban didn't emerge from a genuine concern for school athletics, according to the group Equality Florida. It was part of a cynical political strategy to dehumanize and scapegoat marginalized youth. The issue led to protests and walkouts in support of the student last month, but the debate at school is still ongoing.
If she or he doesn't, it's her fault. The other kids shouldn't get in trouble for that.
We didn't do anything. It was her fault that she joined the team and did that, knowing that it was wrong. So, like, how's that our problem?
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, okay? So basically, it seems to me that the hammer was dropped against the trans student, okay? The trans student has been banned for a year from any sport, regardless of whether they want to play on a boys or girls team. They've been banned. But it doesn't seem like the people that was involved, the principal and the other staffers that got removed, it doesn't seem like they were fired, okay? So maybe the hammer wasn't dropped against them. They were just reassigned. And then the school was fined, okay? And they was placed on administrative probation, hit with some other kind of punishments as well, too. I don't think that the state dropped the hammer as much as they should have, considering how this is one of the first major cases of a school not following state law. I think that you need to set an example from the get-go, right? I think that you need to set a strong example, and I think that everybody involved should have been fired, right? I think they should have been fired just to kind of set the example that, hey, we have zero tolerance for breaking this law, okay? Don't think that you're going to get a slap on the wrist and that this isn't going to be something that is going to actually have consequences, right? Because a lot of times, states may implement laws like this, but they don't actually really enforce them, right? And when you don't enforce the law, guess what? You might as well have not even passed the law or created the law, because essentially you're showing that you actually don't think it's that serious of an issue, okay? So I feel like the school and the administrators that were involved should have been punished more. But apparently, maybe they weren't punished more because there's some confusion in regards to whether or not some of the staffers actually knew that the player was a transgender girl, okay? So I want to talk about this because this story is a little bit deeper than what is being covered by the mainstream liberal media. A Florida high school volleyball coach who was removed for allowing a transgender girl to play on the varsity female squad said he had no clue she had transitioned. 5 Monarch High School staffers, including Principal James Cecil, were suspended after a tipster told local officials that the Coconut Grove School was allowing a biological male to compete as a female in violation of state law. Former coach Alex Burgess told local outlets that he was unaware of the student's birth sex and found out after an investigation was launched late last month. The sophomore, who began taking hormone blockers at age 11, had been on the team for the past 2 years. Yeah, so again, this is incredible, right? So you have a sophomore who started taking hormone blockers at the age of 11 before they could even hit puberty, right? Which again, it blows my mind, right? This is the actual part of the story that people should be talking about, which is whether or not this is actually okay, right? Is it okay to give a child hormone blockers at the age of 11? I'm just saying, I think that should be a way bigger part of the story. That is an important part of the story that's not being talked about enough. Quote, I had no clue, Burgess told the Miami Herald Monday. Quote, I guess there was some people who already knew, but I guess whoever came in to kind of investigate kind of pointed fingers at her. Meanwhile, the student's irate mother revealed herself publicly Monday as one of the 5 ousted staffers. Quote, a lot of things were taken from my family this week. Our privacy, sense of safety, and right to self-determination, Jessica Norton said in a statement released by the Human Rights Campaign, an LGBTQ advocacy group. Quote, there's a long history in this country of outing people against their will. Forced outing, particularly of a child, is a direct attempt to endanger the person being outed. No, it's not actually. It's not a direct attempt to endanger the person being outed. I personally believe that it should have been known by the school that this child is transitioning, right? That's something that needs to be known by the school because they have a state law prohibiting, right? Directly prohibiting children, regardless of whether or not they're transitioning, from competing against the opposite sex in sports. So they have to know. I mean, this is a matter of state law, just following the law, okay? Yeah, I personally believe that the Human Rights Campaign, they're probably going to try to challenge this and try to say, well, the child wasn't transitioning after puberty, right? They started transitioning before puberty. Therefore, there's no biological advantage, okay? That I think that's probably the way that they're going to try to challenge it in the future. But I personally don't think that kids should be taking this stuff at all, okay? Especially at that age, right? I mean, I think that's way too young to put kids on potentially irreversible drugs. In addition to Cecil, Burgess, and Norton, assistant principal Kenneth May and athletic director Dion Hester were also suspended. The volleyball season was canceled outright as the probe continues. Norton filed a 2021 lawsuit on behalf of her child that sought to allow her to compete on the girls' team in high school despite her being born male. The case argued that a Florida law prohibiting the practice was unconstitutional, but was eventually struck down by a federal judge. The suit states that she presented as a female beginning in preschool. Yeah, but again, that's not the same thing as your biological sex, right? What you were born with. Quote, as early as 3 years old, exhibited behavior that traditionally is associated with being a girl and would insist on wearing clothes and colors pink that girls wore. The suit states, quote, she saw herself as a girl and conveyed that to her parents in clear terms. At 5 or 6, her parents realized based on Blank's behavior and statements that their daughter was transgender. She soon developed a passion for soccer and competed on girls' teams throughout middle school, according to the suit. At age 11, at the recommendation of her endocrinologist, she began hormone blockers to stop testosterone, the case states. This year, under medical supervision, she began receiving estrogen and will continue to do so for the rest of her life. This will allow her to live as a girl/woman that she is. Okay, so again, I mean, I'm just saying personally, you know, the argument here from the state is that, you know, you have to compete based off your biological sex. If this child is actually a girl/woman, then they wouldn't need to be on estrogen for the rest of their lives, right? Women naturally produce estrogen. This is why they're women. Or put it this way, they produce more than men do, right? Because men produce estrogen too, just not as much as women, but women produce more estrogen, okay? Again, if your child was a girl/woman biologically, which again, this is what the state is arguing. They're arguing on biological grounds, not your definition of gender. Then they wouldn't need to receive estrogen. That's just what it is. Irate students staged a walkout at the school last week to protest the sanctioning of their teachers and administrators, arguing that the team should be allowed to compete as a girl. A Broward County school district source told the Post Tuesday that the team's inclusion on the team was an inarguable violation of federal law. Quote, there's no way around it. The member said, it's hard to understand how this happened. All I know is that it's chaos right now, a lot of anger and a lot of confusion. Yeah, I mean, well, I personally believe that the mother tried to hide this since she was on the staff. She was probably working with the principal. She probably went to the principal and said, look, you know, you're a bigot if you don't allow my, you know, child to play on a volleyball team, even though it's against the law. Now, the principal probably was woke, and he probably was like, well, I don't want to be accused of bigotry. The child went on puberty blockers at the age of 11, so maybe, just maybe, nobody will notice, and I'm just going to allow it to happen and hope that nobody notices. I'm pretty sure that's probably how it went down, okay? And unfortunately, the cat got let out of the bag, at least for the principal and the mother and all of the others who were involved, and now they're being punished, okay? The trans athlete has been banned from playing sports, which, again, didn't have to happen, right? The transgender athlete could have played on the same team that matches their biological sex, and it would have been fine. It would have been totally fine. But nope, they didn't want to play by the rules. They wanted to break the law, and they had to face the consequences. It is what it is. Okay, hopefully this serves as a deterrent from other schools trying to, basically break the law, or thinking they can get away with breaking the law, or that they're going to get a slap on the wrist for breaking the law. So hopefully, again, this punishment was enough to deter this from happening again. But we'll see. There'll be some woke revolutionary, some woke school that'll try it, and we'll see what happens. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.